plants. So already in the 6th standard you have learned about this reproduction. So you also learned how the seed formation takes place, and also you learned that what is this reproduction. So what do you mean by the reproduction? Reproduction is the process of giving birth to the egg one of their own kind. Okay. Now see, just I will write the definition of reproduction. Just note it down. Reproduction. So how can we define the reproduction? Reproduction is the process of giving birth to the egg one of their own kind is called reproduction. Okay, so this is what the definition of reproduction. So the process of giving birth to the egg one of their own kind. So see here, the parent will give birth to the egg one of the same kind of the next to that to which family they are belongs to. So the same kind of egg ones they produces. So that process we call as the reproduction. And in the plant also the same thing will happen. So the same kind of plants are produced by the parent plant. So the characters what the parent has, the same characters are implemented or carried out by the egg plant. So that is what the reproduction in the plants. For example, if you sow the mango seeds, we get the mango plant only. So the same kind. And if it is the seed of any other plant, we will get the same plant. Means the same kind of plant which the kind of seeds which we are sowing, the same kind of plant we will get. ಈಗ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ ನೀವು suppose if you have the farms, ನಿಮ್ಮ ಏನಾರ ಹೊಲ ಇದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ನೀವು ಗೋಧಿ ಬಿತ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಗೋಧಿ plants ಅನ್ನು ಏನಾಗ್ತವು ಬೆಳಿತೀರಿ, the crop you will get the wheat crop only. If you sow the wheat seeds, you will get the wheat crop. If you sow the java seeds, then you will get the java. So likewise, the kind of seeds which you will sow, the same kind of plant we will get. So likewise, so this is what the giving birth to the egg one of their own kind. The same kind of egg ones will be reproduces. So that process we call as the reproduction. So now we can discuss how the reproduction process takes place in the plants. So usually you all know that during the summers, so we enjoy the spring. In the spring season, what happened? The mango plants, they started bearing the flowers, right? And here we get the mango fruits in that time. So when they bear the flowers, then the flowers they will be, the fertilization takes place there and they form the seeds, and again by the seeds the fruits will grow. So likewise it happened, we enjoy the very juiciest and very pulpy mangoes during that summer. And later what we will do, when we eat the mango fruit, we discard the seed. Now mango tinda ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದರ ಬೀಜನ ಒಗೆದು ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ. So when the seed of the mango, when it gets the required amounts of all the nutrients like minerals and some of the water, air, sunlight, if it gets everything, parts. So which are those vegetative parts? Vegetative parts of the plant. So they are like stem, leaves, root. Okay, so these are all some of what? The vegetative parts of the plant. So even the plants can grow by these parts also, not only by the seeds. In the plants, we are not get the plants only by the seeds, but also we can grow the new plants by using these vegetative parts such as stems, leaves and roots. So vegetative parts ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನ್ರಿ? ಇವು stem, leaves, roots ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ vegetative parts ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಿ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ reproduction process. ಈ reproduction process ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಬರೀ seeds ಇಂದನೇ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Other than that, seeds ಬಿಟ್ಟು stem, leaves ಮತ್ತು roots ಇಂದನೂ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ ಒಂದೊಂದ್ಸತಿ plants growth ಆಗ್ತವೆ. So that kind of these parts from where the new plants are growing, they are called as vegetative parts of the plants. Okay, and now see, and we all know that the flowers, so the flowers are called as the reproductive parts of the plant, right? The flowers are the reproductive parts of the plant, and the pollination takes place there, and the zygote formation, and then the seed formation takes place, and from the seeds the new plants will grow. This is what the flower. The flowers are the attractive parts of the plant, and they are the reproductive part of the plant. Then we can divide the reproduction. There are several ways are there to reproduce in the plants. So in that two we can discuss. So one is sexual reproduction and another one is asexual reproduction. So in the reproduction there are two types. So I will show the flow chart. So reproduction we can show by the flow chart. So in the reproduction in plants we can mention. There are two ways are there. There are several ways are there, in that we can discuss two. So one is sexual reproduction and the another one is asexual reproduction. So these are the two types of reproduction in the plants. So there are two types of reproduction are there in the plants. One is sexual reproduction and another one is asexual reproduction. So here in the sexual reproduction, the new plants are produced by the seeds. So in the sexual reproduction, new plants are produced by the seeds. So by using the seeds we can grow the new plants. So the new plants are produced by the seeds, and this type of reproduction is called as sexual reproduction. And in the kind of asexual reproduction, the new plants can produce without seeds. So that is called as asexual reproduction. So it is a type of reproduction in which new plants can be produced without seeds. This is called as asexual reproduction. Seeds in the hosa plants grow adra adenu sexual reproduction. Seeds illade bere parts planted bere parts in the new plants produce adra adenu asexual reproduction. And these are the two types of reproduction. And now in this class we can discuss So in the flowers, how the fertilization takes place, the pollination, how it takes place. So about that, the pollen grains, they will be transferred through the stigma, and then they will combine, they will fuses in the ovary, the ovary consisting of ovules. So that is the female reproductive part, and the pollen grains, when they fuses with that, so there the zygote formation takes place, then the seeds are formed, and when we sow the seeds, the embryo means the new plant started growing. So that is what the sexual reproduction. And now we can discuss about asexual reproduction. So, asexual reproduction. So, already we have discussed that asexual reproduction means here the new plants are produced without the seeds. Seeds in a bit to ಬೇರೆ parts in the ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ reproduction ಆಗ್ತೈತಿ. So that is what the asexual reproduction. Here the vegetative reproduction. Vegetative reproduction. So this vegetative reproduction is the type of reproduction where the vegetative parts of the plant, they are involved in the formation or in the production of the new plants. So like the stems, roots, leaves or any other parts of the plant. So these are called as the vegetative parts of the plant. Vegetative parts of the plants. And by this, so when the production of new plants takes place with the help of these vegetative parts of the plant, then the kind of reproduction we call as the vegetative reproduction. So you might have know that. So the sugarcane, the plants will grow. So anyone can say, anyone yet saw that seeds of the sugarcane? ಯಾರಾದರೂ sugarcane seeds ನೋಡಿರಿ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ? Yes. And you eat the potato. Yes, potato for snacks purpose and for curry. So it is somewhat favorite of almost all. So have you seen the seeds of that potato? Anybody have seen the potato seeds? No. Or else anybody have saw the seeds of rose plant? Yes? No, you are not seeing. Then how these plants will reproduce? So here is the answer is there for that. They all are reproduced by the vegetative propagation. So the sugarcane is produced by the stem that we call as the cuttings. And even the potato, it is the stem, and there the scars will be there, that we can discuss later. And the rose plant, that is also produced by the stem, so that we can discuss now. So you have the activity also, and you can also try to plant like this. So see here activity 12.1. So here you can see the activity 12.1. So here you can take a branch, cut a branch of rose or champa, so that you can cut it with carefully. So anything here, which one is available, you can cut it and take, and just you can plant it. And these, the stems we cut, the plants of rose or champa, that we call as cuttings. or the branch what we cut to plant this plant. So planting the plant of this rose or champa, so that we called as cutting. And then you just dig the ground or you just insert this in the pot which is full of mud, and then go on watering the plant. And here it is having the nodes. Okay, so suppose if it is the plant, so some nodes will be there here. So these nodes, the nodes what are there? So they are called as the nodes. So these nodes usually they bear the leaves. So the branches started bearing from the nodes. So when you break the cuttings and when you planted this, so you just every day you go on watering the plant and just observe the nodes. And after a few days of planting, you observe the new leaves are started bearing from the nodes. ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, ರೋಸ್ ಅಥವಾ ಚಂಪಾ ಪ್ಲಾಂಟನ್ನ ಬ್ರಾಂಚನ್ನ ಕಟ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಬರ್ರಿ. ತೊಗೊಂಡು ಬಂದ ಒಂದು ಪಾಟ್ನಾಗ ಅದನ್ನು ಹಾಕಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, ಇನ್ ದ ಸಾಯಿಲ್ ಅದನ್ನು ಸಸಿ ನೆಟ್ಟು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಡೈಲಿ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ರಿ, ವಾಟರ್ ಹಾಕೋತ ಹೋಗಿ, ನೀರು ಹಾಕೋದು. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಿರ್ತಾವೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಇರ್ತಾವೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಯು ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಸಿ ದ ನೋಟ್ಸ್. ಆ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಏನು ಅದ್ರ ಫಂಕ್ಷನ್ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಅವು ಹೊಸ ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನು ಬಿಯರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸ ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಬರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ನೋಟ್ಸಿಂದ ನೀವು ಡೈಲಿ ವಾಟರಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತ ಏನು ಮಾಡಿರಿ, ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೋತ ಹೋಗ್ರಿ. ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿನ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವು ಆ ನೋಟ್ಸ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಿ, ಹೊಸ ಲೀವ್ಸ್ ಚಿಗುರೋದು ಕಾಣ್ತೀರಿ. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ಯು ಅಬ್ಸರ್ವ್ ದ new leaves are growing from these nodes means the plant has started growing. Yes, so that we can understand that the rose or champa plant can grow by cuttings. It is not a seed, but it is the vegetative part of the plant, right? So like this we can grow from the other parts of the plant. So like the same way you just observe the potato. Yes, if you observe the potato, so you can observe the scars on the potato. Potato ಮೇಲೆ dots ಕಾಣ್ತಾವೆ, scars. So if you leave the potato for some times on a place, you will observe the new plant started growing on the potatoes. ನೀವು ಮನ್ಯಾಗ ಹಂಗೆ ಇಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದಿನ ಪೊಟ್ಯಾಟೋನ, ಅದರ್ ದೆನ್ ಫ್ರೀಜರ್, ರೆಫ್ರಿಜರೇಟರ್ ಒಳಗೆ ಇಡೋಂಗಿಲ್ಲ, ರೆಫ್ರಿಜರೇಟರ್ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಇಟ್ಟು ನೋಡ್ರಿ. ಸೊ ವೆನ್ ದ ಸ್ಕಾರ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ದೇರ್, there in some places the new plants is started, the filaments you can observe. So if you plant that, then the new plant of potato will grow. And this potato, that is what? The stem. Yes, so that the reproduction takes place by the stem. This is what the vegetative part. And even ginger also. If you keep the ginger also, then the plants are started growing. And like the same way, other plants like dahlia and some other plants such as sweet potato and dahlia, they are the example for the roots. Yes, the roots they will produce by this, produce the new plants. And also you can observe the cactus plants. So they are growing in the broad area. So that production takes place when the part of the cactus plant, if it is detached from the plant, then the detached part which is there, ಏನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಾಗ್ತಾವೆ ಅದು ಡಿಟ್ಯಾಚ್ ಆಗೋತ ಬರ್ತಾವೆ. ಆ ಡಿಟ್ಯಾಚ್ಡ್ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಇಂದ ಏನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ, the new plants will grow. When the cactus plants, when the part of the cactus plant detached, each detached part is grown as new individual. So likewise the reproduction takes place in the cactus. And also you might have saw the bryophyllum leaves. The bryophyllum. So here the thick leaves will be there. Yes. So the new plants are started growing. So here some nodes will be there here. And if you observe this, again the new leaves are started growing from these parts. So likewise the reproduction takes place in the bryophyllum, and it is not a seed, it is the leaf and by which the new plant started growing. This is how the vegetative reproduction takes place in the plants. Okay. So see, now we have discussed about all this vegetative reproduction. So here the stems, roots, leaves, so these are all the vegetative parts of the plant, and by which we get the new plants. So in rows and all we say the cuttings, and also the potato, it is the stem. So the scars will be there, that we call as the eye. Okay, and also ginger also produces new plant, and bryophyllum also. So these are all produced by the vegetative parts of the plant. Then just think, is there any advantage by this vegetative reproduction? So other than the seeds, if we grow the plants by the vegetative method, is there any advantage by this? Yes, there is the advantage. So what are the advantage of this vegetative reproduction? Just will discuss the advantages of vegetative reproduction. So here the plants produced by vegetative propagation take less time to grow. The advantages. So here the plants take less time to grow. So the plants will grow in the less time than the seeds. Okay, seeds, if the plants are growing from the seeds, it will take more time. But if the plants are grown by the vegetative parts, then it will take less time to grow and bear the flowers and fruits. Grow and bear the flowers and fruits. And these are they are also having the same characters as their parent plant. Have same characters of the parent plant. Parent plant के क्या characters इतो? Same characters in newly produced plant. Okay, so it has the same characters of the parent plant. And the seeds which we grow, the plants which we grow from the seeds, they exhibit both the male and female characters. But here in the vegetative reproduction, now yav is going to the same parent character, it will come to the plant. So this is what some advantages of the vegetative propagation. And now we can discuss the one more asexual reproduction, the type of asexual reproduction, that is budding. Yes, the budding. So you might have seen some organisms, they are the single cell. Okay, the single celled organisms. So this budding can be takes place in that single celled organisms. So in the single celled organisms, the asexual reproduction takes place. So you might have seen that the yeast. So usually we use yeast in the bakery items and all. So there when we add the yeast, so it will be grow larger in size in a less time. The budding means here the growth of the organism takes place in a very fast the formation of yeast. How the yeast cells are known? They are the single cell organisms. You just take some yeast from the bakery or from anywhere. If you get anywhere, you just bring the the yeast, and then you just mix it with the water, and then add a spoonful of water in that, the sugar solution, the water which is mixed with the sugar. Then add a spoonful of sugar to it and keep it for some time, and take a drop of that and observe it on the microscope. Okay, so you will observe that. So this is the yeast cell which is previously. So the yeast cell is like this. Okay, this is the yeast cell, and then as you will observe it, so the bud started developing from this. So here this is given in your textbook also, you can observe there also. So like this the bud formation. So it is developing bud. Yes. And next, if you observe like that only, so this is what the developing bud, and if you observe like this, the new bud has formed like this, so that you just see the different buds here. This is what the new bud, and if you go on observing like this, so the bud formation, the chain of bud formation takes place like this. So the chain of bud. So here like this, the budding takes place in the single celled organisms like yeast. So this is the yeast cell, it is a single cell, and then it go on developing. So if you keep it in the warm place, so give some conditions for that. We have to give some particular conditions for that, so that we have to keep it in the warm temperature. So with some warm place, and then the developing bud will be shown like this. So it is started developing, and then it is the new bud. Here the two, it is split into two. Okay, the single yeast cell that splits into two buds. Here one is there, here one is there. So this is the new bud. Okay, and here the chain of bud takes place here. Okay, the single cell is there, and the chain, it started growing like this. So this is the chain of buds, and here the bulb-like projection, what we can see here, this we can call as the bud. And like this, the growth takes place continuously, and this is how the reproduction. Here the new bud means it is the new yeast cell. New yeast cell is growing. Yes, the chain of bud means here the new product, it is the reproduction. Okay, the new yeast cells are started growing here. So likewise, the budding takes place in the single celled organisms, that is in the yeast. Okay, and the next, the type of asexual reproduction, that is fragmentation. Fragmentation. So in some of the organisms, when the water is made to stand in the same place for some times or few days, you can observe the green patch is growing on the water, on the stagnant water. ನೀವೇನಾದರೂ ನೀರು ಒಂದು ಕಡೆ ಭಾಳ ದಿವಸ ನಿಂತು ನೋಡಿದ್ರಂದ್ರೆ ಅದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಏನಾಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ, ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಪ್ಯಾಚ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಏನಾಗಿರ್ತೈತಿ, ಗ್ರೋತ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗ್ತೈತೆ ಡೈಲಿ. ಈಗ ಸಪೋಸ್ ನಿಮ್ದೇನಾದ್ರೂ ಹೊಲ ಅಥವಾ ಇತ್ತು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷಿ ಹೊಂಡ ಹತ್ರ ಇರ್ತವೆ. ಸೊ ನೀವು ಸೈಡಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗಿರ್ತೈತೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ಗ್ರೀನ್ ಪ್ಯಾಚಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಫಾರ್ಮ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾವೆ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನು ಕರಿತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ algae. We can call them as the algae, the green patch which grow on the stagnant water, that is called as the algae. And this algae is grown by the process called fragmentation. Yes, so see, the algae will be like this. Okay, so this is like what? The algae will be started growing. So like this. This is the algae cell will be there like this. So this is how they are growing. So when the fragmentation takes place, so it will be split into two. So likewise, okay, we can show like this also. So likewise, the fragmentation takes place in the algae. So the fragmentation means the new individuals are started growing by this. Okay, the new individuals. So these are the fragments. Okay, and again by this again the fragmentation, and from this again like this, it will split, and like this the fragmentation go on, and it is growing throughout the mix on the whole water. So likewise the fragmentation takes place in the algae, and each fragmentation is grown as the new individuals. So likewise from each fragmentation ಒಂದೊಂದೇನಾಗ್ತೈತಿ ಹೊಸ algae form ಆಗೋತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, and this process is called fragmentation. Okay, and the next type of asexual reproduction is spore formation. So ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಯೊಳಗೆ ಏನಾದರೂ ಬ್ರೆಡ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ರಂದ್ರೆ, that too not in this time, in the rainy season. Usually we can observe that in the rainy season. ನಾವೇನಾದರೂ ಬ್ರೆಡ್ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ, ಅದರ ಮೇಲೆ ಫಂಗಸ್ ಫಾರ್ಮೇಷನ್ ಆಗಿದೆ ನೋಡಿರಿ. So if it is wet condition, then the fungus is formed. Now boost activity. Okay, so see, they are having the spores, and these spores are coated with have the cover on them, the spores, so that they can withstand in the air in the unfavorable conditions. In the spores our air ಒಳಗಿರ್ತಾವ in the atmosphere. Since they are very light in weight, they can be present in the air of the atmosphere. So the spore formation, when they come in contact with any of the food objects and all, so they started growing there. The spores are started forming. So you might have seen in your textbook, just open page number 136, and in that you can see the reproduction through spore formation here. Yes, so here the spores are there, the sporangium, what we can say, this is the hypha. Yes, and so like that the germination of the spore takes place here. So when it sits, or when it deposited on the any food items, so that it started growing, so that it can be spread. Since it is very light in weight, so if it is more humid condition, then the growth takes place. And even you can see the fern plant also here. So here also the spore formation takes place. Yes, here the spore formation takes place here. So likewise the asexual reproduction takes place in the plants. Okay, so there are different types of asexual reproduction are there. So one is vegetative reproduction or vegetative propagation we call, and budding, fragmentation and spore formation. So I hope you have understood about these asexual reproduction, types of asexual reproduction, and in the next class we can discuss about the sexual reproduction in the plants. Okay, I hope you have understood this, and even though if you have any